I'm Chronix from the most extreme wrestling, and this is your Raw review for December 30th, 2013, the very last episode of Raw for the entire year. We're about to roll right into 2014. Oh my God. Now, this episode of Raw emanated from Richmond, Virginia, and man, it's supposed to be packed full of surprises, as they told us, and as we learned through the night, and we'll get to them as they come. And I mean, next week, it's gonna be old school Raw. Holy crap. And then Batista's gonna return, and then there's the Royal Rumble. Man, I love this time of year. But before I get started with the actual review, you might ask yourself, where is the camera? Where is Crystal? I mean, what is going on here? Now, I actually have a little bit of a story for you, because you see, Crystal went on a trip and she came back. I thought by that time I would be able to use the camera, right? Because, I mean, she would bring it back. Well, here's the thing. When she was at the airport, she dropped her jacket, which had the camera in it. And because I could not find the little case that the camera goes in before she went, it wasn't sufficiently protected. It fell down. And my HD camera, well, I guess it's our HD camera, but it's mine. You know, it fell. And it broke. Oh my God. Because she texted me and said, Chronix, you're gonna be mad. And I thought, I bet that I am. And then she started texting me and telling me, it was the camera. And I was like, oh no, I am getting a little bit mad because, man, the camera is like the essence of everything I do. I'm telling you, man, so much use for it. Okay, so she had broke it and now it does not work. And I'm like, okay, just tell me what's wrong with it. She's like, well, we can just buy a new one. It's not a big, I mean, we can afford to buy another one. It's okay. I'm like, no, just tell me what's wrong with it, right? And she's like, oh, well, it broke the bottom of it and you can't put the battery in and it won't close and all this. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to order a new camera because they're like $300. And I don't care if I have the money or not. I am way too cheap. I don't care what Mick Foley says. I am cheaper than him. I swear to you. So she brings it home. I look at it and I'm like, okay, I think I can fix this. You know, believe it or not, Chronix right here, I'm pretty handy. You know, if something's broke on the car or the dishwasher or a computer or anything that needs fixing, I can actually fix it. I'm pretty freaking handy. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I think I can fix this, because I sure as hell am not going to spend $300 on an exact same camera, because for whatever reason the technology hasn't really changed that much from the camera that I got in 2012 to the end of 2013. So I'm just like, all right, I got this. I'm like, how do I fix this? I went on eBay. I found a camera exactly like it that was also broke, but not broke on the body. It was just broke inside where the camera didn't work, but the body was still intact. And I thought, man, that's genius. So I bought the broke camera for 20 bucks, took it all apart, and Frankenstein monstered these two cameras and made the camera work once again. And hooray, a working camera for only 20 bucks. I saved so much money. Awesome. But one problem. Yeah, well, now that we got the working camera, Crystal's actually going to meet one of her friends who had moved and was originally lived close to us in Waco, but we don't live there, and now they don't live there, and we're in completely different states, but she's going to go meet them. So, she's meeting her little girlfriend or whatever, and she's like, I got to take the camera, and I'm like, oh, crap, not again. So, she's got the camera, and here I am doing this podcast style, the Raw review. Now that I've told you this extremely long story, we can get into the actual show itself. So, there's going to be big news revealed tonight, Triple H tells us, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not so sure about that, because I've already heard that Batista is going to be coming back on the 20th or whatever, so I'm thinking, are they just going to reiterate that news? Or what's going to be going on with that? But anyways, CM Punk's the first one to come out, and he talks about his year. You know, he wrestled The Undertaker, and he did all these things. And I'm like, you know, he really did have a pretty good year. I mean, not everybody gets to face The Undertaker, right? So, but he says that he really didn't have the best year out of everybody, you know. It was really more The Shield. And I was like, oh, that's actually a good point, because The Shield have had an amazing year. I mean, they've only been around as a team for about a year, and they've done a lot of things, and they have, you know, positioned themselves in people's minds as each one of them being like huge stars. I mean, there's a lot of people that are like, Ambrose, this guy's going to be a world champion. Or they're like Seth Rollins, like, oh my God, this guy's going to be taking on The Undertaker at WrestleMania and stuff. So, you know, their stock has really went up from basically zero, you know, in the average fan's minds. And he calls out The Shield, and The Shield comes down. And, you know, he wants to fight. And Ambrose, he's got the microphone, and he's doing the majority of the talking. And I don't ever know how to describe Ambrose, but he just sounds, when he talks, he sounds like a drunk weirdo. I just don't know how to explain it. I mean, he's good. I like him. I'm not trying to knock him. But he just sounds drunk when he talks, and I guess that's part of his gimmick. I mean, they all have weird-sounding voices to me, especially Seth Rollins. So Ambrose talks about how he's the best, and Punk is like, oh, I beat you like a bunch of times. So Seth comes in and is like, I'm actually number one. And Roman Reigns is in the back being like, this guy thinks he's better than me. So there's kind of a lot of dissension. I mean, on commentary, they're like, oh, look at the cracks starting to form. And I'm like, man, these cracks are gaping holes. I mean, it is just a matter of time right around the corner before this entire thing just explodes, right? So tonight, Seth Rollins is going to get that chance against CM Punk and proving themselves and stuff like that. And Roman Reigns just has to wait it out. So there you go. And Seth, he says he's going to become number one. And it's funny because there was actually a Roman Reigns chant, which like blew my mind. I mean, the guy's great, you know. I mean, or he's, you know, he's good, but he's going to be great or whatever. But I just thought it was funny that the crowd is like getting behind him, like, you know, in unison. It was actually somewhat surprising to be so fast. I don't know. But the general manager, yes, I'm sure you also forgot him as well. It's Brad Maddox. And you could hear, and I think it was Seth Rollins maybe, I'm not sure, but I could hear them say, who is that? Like he was talking on the microphone, and it sounded like they almost didn't really know who he was. But he makes the match for tonight the obvious choice: Seth Rollins, or Seth, yes, versus CM Punk, and it's happening right now. And they had a very good match. I mean, I can't even say anything bad about it. It was back and forth. It was exciting. I freaking loved it. It was awesome. And CM Punk won. So, the Shield, they're just not looking so great, right? Okay, so Stephanie McMahon comes out and she's got like a big announcement. Her big announcement for tonight. They play this Randy Orton video package that, you know, we've all seen. I mean, we've been watching. We've seen Randy Orton. We all know, but they reminded us. And at the pay-per-view, Royal Rumble, by the way, probably one of the most funnest pay-per-views to watch. My personal favorite, Royal Rumble. You know, besides WrestleMania. The whole concept is just awesome and exciting, and the possibilities for returns, and yeah, right? Well, it's going to be for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, you know, parentheses, comma, whatever, unified champion. It's going to be the champion Randy Orton versus John Cena. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm not excited, but I hope that there's bigger plans and bigger surprises later in the night like they promised, right? And we get one of those Batista video packages. And I'm actually somewhat excited for Batista, I got to admit. I honestly didn't think he would come back. I mean, he really didn't last very long doing like the MMA stuff like he was gonna do, and then he filmed some movies, I guess, and I think that's what he's back to promote. But I really just didn't expect him to come back. I don't know. A lot of people just thought it was a foregone conclusion from years ago, but I just thought the guy's like 45 or something. I just thought he'd be done. But I mean, I'm glad he's coming back. You got Brock potentially coming back, and people like that. So I don't know. It's good to see him back for WrestleMania time. Now we get a laughable video from Curtis Axel where he's talking about being good, and I'm just like, wow. He takes on Dolph Ziggler, and Dolph Ziggler's entrance was probably the greatest thing. It was just that panoramic deal of him doing his wiggle was just ridiculous and hilarious. But Dolph looked cool in this match, and he won, so you can't get much better than that, I guess, when you're facing Curtis Axel. So Big E Langston, the Intercontinental Champion, versus Fandango, and they actually also have a good match, so it's just like good match after good match. I'm just like, this is cool, right? And the Intercontinental Champion lives on, he wins, and actually, I thought to myself, wow, it feels like that belt just means a little bit now. It's so exciting. It really is. Now, Booker T comes out, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And he's talking about a big party that's going to be happening, I guess, for next week? I don't know. He was talking about a party. Oh, maybe it was a New Year's party. He had a bunch of people with him, and they were all partying. And then there was this big scissor lift thing, and it was Bad News Barrett, and he was like 15 feet in the air. So you know that this thing is dying a slow death when they can't even like keep it consistent where his location is. Like, oh yeah, the reason this isn't getting over, the reason that this people aren't looking at this as like the greatest gimmick ever is because we put the podium in the wrong place. Oh yeah, if we move the podium from over there from the anonymous general manager area to up by the stage, oh boy, put it 15 feet in the air and all bets are off. People are going to love this thing now. So I thought that was quite comical. Anyways, he says something that I don't remember. So there you go. Bad News Barrett. Bad news for Wade Barrett's career. Now, Damian Sandow is going to take on somebody. And it's up to the WWE Universe to vote on their app. Now, I do not recall, maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I don't recall them like telling us how to install it every 5 seconds, which is a welcome thing. It was nice because I already have the freaking app and I actually voted. I didn't really know who to vote for because it was like the Great Khali, Kofi Kingston, or The Miz, and I can't believe this, but I actually voted for The Miz. I was once a big fan of The Miz, but he just went down the toilet. But I like Kofi Kingston, but I don't know. So I voted for The Miz for an unknown reason, but it didn't matter because for some godforsaken unknown reason, people voted for the Great Khali. That is impossible. That is impossible. Either people are insane, or they're like did that on purpose, or only like 7-year-olds voted on this particular thing. I have no idea, but anyways, they had a match and no one cared at all. I mean, people were just completely dead at this match until like the very end, and there was like a roll-up, and the way that the commentary, the way that they kept saying that, oh, there was a shoulder up, he stole the win, this isn't over, I was like, oh no, do not tell me that there is a feud between the Great Khali and Damian Sandow about to happen. A, that's complete ass, and B, that means that the whole app voting thing was a complete farce, which I could totally believe. But I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. So now we got R-Truth versus Brodus, and I don't care. Brodus broke away. Good for you. Hope you do better. But I don't know, man. My eyes get crossed. I see the Funkadactyls. I mean, they're cool, I guess, but I'm just so tired of the dancing thing and the gimmick. It was funny, but I just can't take it anymore. I just can't take it anymore. I don't know why, but I'm done with it. And when they start dancing, I want to change the channel. I hate to say that. I hate to be like that. I hate to have that attitude. But that's how I honestly feel. I'm so tired of the dancing. Just stop. You're killing me. R-Truth is a dancing, and the Funkadactyls are dancing, and it's just annoying. I don't know. I have no idea why. Other things don't bother me, but for some reason tonight, I just had enough. I wanted to get a drink, and then I forgot to get a drink. And anyways, Xavier Woods, he distracted by standing on the table, and that infuriated me, because that's how Brodus lost, because the dude standing on the table and was like, whoa! And Brodus was like, whoa, I'm distracted. I don't know, it was just dumb. R-Truth wins. Triple H comes out and he welcomes back. Now, he's about to welcome back somebody special, and this is going to be Triple H's big announcement, and I thought, it can't be anybody but Brock Lesnar. And freaking believe it or not, it was Brock Lesnar. And I was like, yeah. And Brock later, he also was like, yeah, but in a different way. We'll get to that in a whole second. So he comes down to the ring with Paul Heyman. That's where Paul Heyman's been. So, he comes to the ring, big pyro at the front, and then he comes down to the ring, does his classic jump on the ring and look up at the sky thing. What I can't understand, and why, this is an unanswered question for me. I have these time to time. Why does he have the pyro up at the stage, but he doesn't have the pyro up at the ring anymore? Ever since he returned, no pyros ever. You know, when he jumps on the ring. I don't understand, because that was the coolest thing ever. And even the camera does the, move back, like they're gonna do the pyros. Kane doesn't do the fire thing anymore, so there's absolutely no excuse for him not to do it. And you could say, oh, well, there was people by the, the corner, and they could have gotten burnt if they did it and stuff. Okay, then place them somewhere else. Every time Brock came down, there would be a referee in the ring, and the guy never got burnt that I know of. And sometimes his opponent would already be in the ring, so there'd be multiple people in the ring, and then Paul Heyman's wandering around somewhere else, and none of them got burnt. So that is no excuse. The only thing that I can possibly think of is that there is nothing. That's just stupid. If you're going to do the promos, the explosions at the stage, just do them in the ring. That's where we remember it. That's where it goes. It just makes sense. I don't understand. It's like getting rid of the fire cane thingy and just moving it somewhere else. The whole point of it was for it to be right there. I don't understand. And somebody please explain this to me. Anyways, so he comes down to the ring. Hooray, I'm excited. I'm mad about the pyros, yes, but I am excited. He's there, and Paul Heyman talks for him because Paul Heyman has to talk for him because he sounds like a little girl. This is a fact. I love Brock Lesnar, but he sounds like a girl. That's the whole point. That's why Brock Lesnar was his mouthpiece back then, and that's why he's mouthpiece right now. So Brock comes, and he's standing there just with that blank look on his face while Paul Heyman talks for him and cuts the good promo and says that, nobody's going to face him. Everybody's afraid of him or whatever. And then Brock gets the microphone. I cringe, and he basically, says whatever, and it looks like, somebody's going to come out and challenge him, but that doesn't happen because I was like, maybe it's going to be The Undertaker, I don't know. But surprise, it's Mark Henry. And I'm like, man, this is going to be good. Because, I get tired of freaking Brock Lesnar taking on the exact same guys over and over and over. The same typical guys like Triple H. And wait a minute. Triple H invited him back to Raw, shook his hand. This is the same guy that broke Triple H's arm twice? What? That doesn't make any sense. And don't you even freaking tell me it's best for business. Because that's... Oh! See, the best for business catchphrase is like a crutch. Anytime anything doesn't make sense in storyline, like the Randy Orton thing, like I punted your wife, I punted Vince McMahon, I punted this, I punted... It's best for business. See? It's just a thing you can throw in there, and I know there's a word for it, but it's just one of those things you put in a story, just because, like, anything that doesn't make sense and you want it to make sense, oh, it's best for business. Anytime you say that, it justifies the most ridiculous, preposterous of things. And that's what they just did. And I don't like that. I like the whole best for business thing, but I don't like the fact that they use it as a crutch. They use it to make anything work. Anything work. And that bothers me. Because that's bad story writing. That's all it is. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. So, anyways, now that we get back to wherever we were at, let's see. Mark Henry comes down to the ring, and they start brawling, and they start fighting. And freaking, man, Brock Lesnar spears, Mark Henry through the barricade or whatever, and then he does an F5 on the freaking floor. And every time he does one of these big moves, in his best little girl voice, he screams, "Yeah! Yeah! Whee!" It was like, whoa, man, you sound like a girl. You're like 50 years old, and you're like the biggest heap of a man that ever lived, and you're going, "Yeah!" And he kept doing it. It's not like he just did it once. I could forgive him. One time, I remember Triple H did something, and he went, "Yeah!" And it sounded stupid, but he didn't do it anymore. But Brock Lesnar, oh, no. It sounded stupid, so I'm going to do it 3 or 4 more times. It was quite preposterous. But anyways, we have next. Oh, by the way, they're going to be having this match at the Royal Rumble. I'm just guessing. That's going to be great. Somebody else, somebody different. I'm ready to watch that. And next, we have Total Divas team versus non-Total Divas team. Let me explain to you how much I was excited for this match. That's how excited I was for the match. Anyways, not Total Divas team won, for anyone who cares. And now we have Brad Maddox backstage trying to act like he's cool. And he announces to the McMahons that, woo! Which means none other than Ric Flair is going to be on Raw. I mean, I guess it could mean that, like, Kurt Angle could be there, but that's not going to happen. It's got to be Ric Flair. And he continues to do the woo thing to try and impress Triple H, but guess what? It doesn't impress Triple H in the least. But I'm excited because Raw Old School is freaking awesome. And the very